Welcome to Wicked Shizuku's Reviews, bringing you a southern perspective on books, movies, music, and much, much more. Stick around for a while, you just might hear something wicked. Hello again, and welcome back, friends. This is episode 15, a makeup episode for a Friday read. I hope you enjoy. So, we shall jump right into the new book of etiquette. And we are carrying on with the section titled The Origin of Manners. Primarily, etiquette means manner. But popularity, it means manners. The manners of social habits of our life have an interesting and colorful background. As we have seen, a regard for the rights of others is a basic law of all etiquette. And the idea of avoiding unpleasantness to others lies at the back of almost every convention. What tremendous self-restraint must have been exerted by a generation after generation to produce at last so complex and smoothly organized a social scheme to our own. The brute man who first roamed the earth was a creature of simple impulse, concerned solely with the vital business of finding food and safety for himself, regardless of others. But when the wanderer of prehistory became a clansman, and when the clansman became a peaceful member of society, this was no longer possible. It became necessary to consider others as well as oneself. There were formulated within the clan definite rules governing man's actions in intercourse with his fellows. Every member of the clan or tribe was obliged to live up to these habits in life, which by custom became law. Manners are really the great unwritten laws of social life. Perhaps there existed in mankind from the very beginning an instinct which recognized the value of harmony, of organization, and of order. The more progressive members of the clan or tribe would have led the way, distinguishing themselves by their manner from the common herd. We can see how this would have bred a sense of self-satisfaction and superiority, how these orderly, well-mannered members of the clan would have looked with contempt upon these who did not observe the established customs. Of course, there could have been only a simple and crude stage of manners while mankind was still in its elementary stage. There were certain things to be avoided because they caused confusion, other things to be avoided because they threatened the safety of individuals or of the clan as a whole. The ideal was to secure free and comfortable intercourse in the little group that had grown around the head clansman. Thus was originated the first simple code of manners, regulating man's conduct within the clan. As society advanced and developed, this code of manners became more elaborate. Each manner or custom grew out of some fundamental habit of life. For instance, where food was scarce, man ate silently and quickly. Where food was plentiful, man made a sort of ceremony of the business of eating, gathered around the great clan fire, and joined his fellows in fun and dancing. The changing conditions of life have had great influence upon the manners or customs of man. Eating habits alone have been molded by external influences through the long ages of human existence. The conventions of modern life have taken hundreds of generations to create and have developed with man's own development through the ages. Civilization introduced to the first time a fairly stable social condition. The habits that survived from one generation to another became customary through constant usage as to be almost instinctive. They became a part of man's personality. They became, in a word, the manners, the best society. And they were carefully observed by those who wanted to belong to this society. Manners, therefore, are really an expression of man's inherent desire to adjust himself to his surroundings and conform to the established customs of his fellow beings. They are the tools of social life. The ceremonious aspect of life. Part of, and yet part from, manners we find a certain ceremonious element growing up in the lives of men. From the very first, man was conceited. From the very first, man was conceited, and we can understand how the head clansman would have demanded visible signs of homage and subjugation from the men he permitted to join his clan. If they wished to hunt with him, gather in great feasting with him, and find comfort and protection in his clan, they must be subservient to him. They must salute him as their superior. Even in a crude and primitive society, therefore, there existed ceremonious customs of courtesy and respect. Early man realized that if he did not sufficiently honor Mr. Strongman, certain dire things would happen to him. It was far easier and safer to bow to the wishes of the head clansman than to invite his anger and disapproval. Many forms of obeisance and homage were originated to flatter the vanity of the strong men, the chiefs, and the leaders of clans and tribes. Man has always had a tendency to surround the significant happenings of life with ceremony. Dignified celebrations were introduced by early man to honor the miracle of birth. Each new arrival was announced by the boom of the tom-toms and welcomed by weird and mysterious ceremonies. In the mating season, there were always gay celebrations and impressive ceremonies that in time became customs, and customs that even now survive in our marriage traditions. Even death came in for its share of ceremonial. Wild and gruesome rites performed about the dead body for the purpose of frightening away the evil spirits. This ceremonious aspect of life colored the habits of man and introduced definite customs. Gift-making, for instance, originated in the habits of paying homage to the head clansmen, the gods, or the priests, in an effort to win particular favor from them. The custom of making ceremonious visits originated for the same purpose. We still include gift-making and visiting in our social scheme, though they have lost most of their original significance. Ceremonies became more and more pronounced as social life became more complex. Kings surrounded themselves with elaborate pomp and ceremony, believing that this separated them even to a greater extent from the masses. But the masses invented ceremonies of their own, less magnificent, but quite as impressive as those at court. The ceremonial influence is present today in our marriage customs, our folk holidays, our burial customs, our masquerade balls, the very coming out party for the purpose of introducing the debutante to society as a relic of primitive times, when a girl who had reached marriageable age was released from imprisonment. Fairly interesting. I want to address the phrase where let's see, the phrase gay celebrations. That does not mean homosexual. That meant happy at the time this was written. And this is one way that our language has degraded itself. That is just my opinion. So, if anyone wants to take that up, please invent a time machine and go back and take it up with this woman, because she wrote the book on etiquette. I didn't. So, I shall be moving on to the bard. And we were in, let's see, we had just ended Act 1 in the last Friday read. And this is Act 2, Scene 1, A Public Place. Enter Adriana and Luciana. Adriana: neither my husband nor the slave returned, that in such haste I sent to seek his master. Sure, Luciana, it is 2 o'clock. Luciana: perhaps some merchant hath invited him, and from the mart he's somewhere gone to dinner. Good sister, let us dine and never fret. A man is master of his liberty. Time is their master, and when they see time, they'll go or come. If so, be patient, sister. Adriana: why should their liberty than ours be more? Luciana: because their business still lies out a door. Adriana: look, when I serve him so, he takes it ill. Luciana: oh, no, he is the bridle of your will. Adriana: there's none but asses to be bridled so. Luciana: why headstrong liberty is lashed with woe. There's nothing situate under heaven's eye, but half his bound in earth, in sea, and sky. The beasts, the fishes, and the winged fowls are their male subject, and at their controls, men more divine, the masters of all these, lords of the wide world and wide watery seas, endued with intellectual sense and souls of more preeminence than fish and fowls, are masters to their females and their lords. Then let your will attend on their accords. Adriana: this servitude makes you to keep unwed. Luciana: not this, but troubles of the marriage bed. Adriana: but were you wedded, you would bear some sway. Luciana: ere I learn love, I'll practice to obey. Adriana: how if your husband start some other where? Luciana: till he come home again, I would forbear. Adriana: patience unmoved, no marvel, though she pause. They can be meek that have no other cause, a wretched soul, bruised with adversity. We bid be quiet when we hear it cry, but where we burdened with like weight of pain, as much or more we should ourselves complain. So thou that hast no unkind mate to grieve thee, with urging helpless patience wouldst relieve me. But if thou live to see like right bereft, this full begged patience in thee will be left. Luciana. Well, I will marry one day, but to try. Here comes your man. Now is your husband nigh? Enter Dromio of Ephesus. Adriana. Say, is your tardy master now at hand? Dromio of Ephesus. Nay, he is at 2 hands with me, and that my 2 ears can witness. Adriana. Say, didst thou speak with him? Knowest thou his mind? Dromio of Ephesus. Aye, aye. He told his mind upon mine ear. Be shrew his hand, I scarce could understand it. Luciana. Spake he so doubtfully, thou couldst not feel his meaning. Dromio of Ephesus. Nay, he struck so plainly, I could too well feel his blows, and withal so doubtfully, that I could scarce understand them. Adriana. But say, I prithee, is he coming home? It seems he hath great care to please his wife. Dromio of Ephesus. Why, mistress, sure my master is horn mad. Horn, Adriana. Horn mad, thou villain. Dromio of Ephesus. I mean not cuckold mad, but sure he's stark mad. When I desired him to come home to dinner, he asked me for 1,000 marks in gold. 'Tis dinner time, quoth I. My gold, quoth he. Your meat doth burn, quoth I. My gold, quoth he. Will you come home, quoth I. My gold, quoth he. Where is the 1,000 marks I gave thee, villain? The pig, quoth I, is burnt. My gold, quoth he. My mistress, sir, quoth I. Hang up thy mistress. I know not thy mistress. Out on thy mistress. Luciana. Quoth who? Dromio of Ephesus. Quoth my master. I know, quoth he, no house, no wife, no mistress, so that my errand due unto my tongue, I thank him, I bear home upon my shoulders, for in conclusion he did beat me there. Adriana. Go back again, thou slave, and fetch him home. Dromio of Ephesus. Go back again, and be new beaten home? For God's sake, send some other messenger. Adriana. Back, slave, or I will break thy pate across. Dromio of Ephesus. And he will bless the cross with another beating. Between you and I shall have a holy head. Adriana. Hence, prating peasant, fetch thy master home. Dromio of Ephesus. Am I so round with you, as you with me, that like a football you do spurn me thus? You spurn me hence, and he will spurn me hither. If I last in this service, you must case me in leather. Exit. Luciana. Fie, how impatience lowereth in your face. Adriana. His company must do his minions grace. Whilst I am at home starved for a merry look, hath homely age the alluring beauty took from my poor cheek. Then he hath wasted it. Are my discourses dull, barren my wit? If voluble and sharp discourse be marred, unkindness blunts it more than marble head hard. Do their gay vestments his affections bait? That not my fault, he's master of my state. What ruins are in me that can be found by him not ruined? Then is he the ground of my defeatures, my decayed fare. A sunny look of his would soon repair, but too unruly dear. He breaks the pail and feeds from home. Poor I am, but his stale. Luciana. Self-harming jealousy. Fie, beat it hence. Adriana. Unfeeling fools can with such wrongs dispense? I know his eye doth homage otherwhere, or else what lets it but he would be here? Sister, you know he promised me a chain. With that alone, he would detain. So he would keep fair quarter with his bed. I see the jewel, best enamelled, will lose his beauty, and through gold abides still, that others touch, yet often touching will, wear gold, and so no man that hath a name, but falsehood and corruption doth it shame. Since that my beauty cannot please his eye, I'll weep what's left away, and weeping die. Luciana. How many fond fools serve mad jealousy? Both exits. And that was scene 1 from Act 2 of the Comedy of Errors. So, as I said earlier in the episode, the language has been changed in modern times so much that we no longer even consider some words for their original meanings, and we have warped them, and we can no longer use them in polite conversation anymore. And this is something that we need to reverse. We do not need to keep going forward with the way society has taken this one word and perverted and twisted it. So, I hope you enjoyed episode 15, even with the lecturing. I hope you have a good evening, and that you join me again for episode 16 of Wicked Shizuku's Reviews. You can find me on Telegram at t.me/WickedShizuku's Reviews. You can find me at Twitter at samlin.toll. I also have Substack at samantha.tollison@substack.com. And I can be reached through email at wickedshizuku.gmail.com. Thank you for listening.